Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to sort out the rust problem with the Kia Sorento. So just along here, underneath the sills or the arches, there's rust and yeah, we're going to have a look at that and fix it. That's the first rust hole. That's this bit, and then there's another bit and the last bit. So yeah, it looks really bad, but again I've been poking at it, making it worse, because to be worse before it gets better. So yeah, you can kind of see how big the hole is there. And there, and there. So just having a quick look at it, a quick inspection. The underfloor piece here, all of that is actually perfect. It's only this skin that's on the outside. I checked that there's like a heavy bar, say like runs the length up and down. It's perfect. There's no rust in it. There's actually paint still actually on it. Yeah, what else? Yeah, so my plan is to take the iron grinder, slice it here, probably come back maybe a centimetre above the highest rust piece, which might be that bit there, come up to a centimetre above it, cut a straight line, where's my pen gone? Cut a straight line, come down here, cut this section out, then start again, do this bit, start again, and this, or else I'll just do one continuous piece. I haven't made my mind up yet. Yeah. So looking above it, the steel actually it's really thin just here, but it actually gets really thick back up here. Well, the strength is coming back into it. So what I'll do is I'll come up to the highest bit, cut it, and weld in a patch. Yeah, shouldn't be too much of a job to do, but again, it'll take a long time to do it right. Now we have all the plug welds all removed and all the pieces chopped out. So now we're going to make up new panels. So how do we do that? Well, we took a measuring tape and measured from here to here, worked out that there's going to be a bend in it, added that in. We take up our steel and we say that's going to be roughly there. So then we bended it and now it's lining up. And there's a second bend just here, you can see it there. And then line the two of them up again. And now we know that it has to be bent along this line, so we draw a straight line the whole way down. And when we bend it, it's going to go there. And for just here, I made up this one. So there's a little circle there at the top, so we have to avoid that. And that's going to go like that. That's going to be butt welded there and seam welded on the top again. Down to here. I wanted to keep this bit here, so it keeps the bit of an angle. So this doesn't either go too far out or too far in, and it keeps everything in line. So that's why I did come down here. I did think about just cutting it straight across, but I know we added a little bit of complexity to the problem, but if you keep as much as you can of the original stuff, it then keeps everything in line. So that's the line there, and I'm going to drill probably 6 or 8 mil holes here, and then I'm going to spot weld it or plug weld it. So then what about the rust inside? So yeah, I want to paint the back side of this as well, and what I'm going to do is get some weld through primer and probably primer all of this. So these little slits here, they'll just be welded in beforehand. Just run a little bead and then flatten them back down again. So that's going to go in there, so it'll look very neat. Perfect. Okay guys, so this is as far as we've gotten for tonight. So I made up the 3 panels, so divide up the hole basically into 3 parts. It's just going to be easier that way. So this is the first part done, this is the second one, and still making the third. That's it there. So yeah, that's a work in progress still. So for this one, I've bent it and a punch and punched out the holes. So what I did was I got weld through primer and primered the whole length the whole way down. You can see a bit of it just there. So then when I have the holes done, I got a black marker, marked off the 5 holes that are in it, took away the panel, and then used an angle grinder and just clean back the metal. So there's it's clean metal that I can just weld straight onto it, so there's no weld through primer on it. But there is weld through primer, like say, either side of each of the holes and on the inside of this panel as well. So that's the only way I can protect the metal really, because Once it's all welded up, I'm not going to be able to get in there afterwards. I might be able to put in a little bit just up here, but that's going to be it. What I've been told is you can't use ordinary paint, because when you're welding, that heat has to go somewhere, and if you use ordinary paint, the paint will liquefy and it'll start running down and it'll contaminate the welds, or the next place where you're going to weld. So I decided the best thing to do was just use the weld through primer. I primered, basically just let loose and just primered everywhere inside it. I've primered the back side of each of these panels, and I primered all along this side here, apart from where the plugs are going to go, or plug welds. So it's going to be seam welded up here, all the way around, back down, this one, and oh, there's the light gun, and the last one of course as well. So I've just be careful, there's padding or there's foam just in here. It might catch fire, so I'll just have to be careful with that. And so one thing I'm doing is probably welded this one, the two outside ones basically, leave this one till the very end just in case anything happens, and then weld up this one. It might be the easiest way of doing it. So far it's looking pretty good. I have a nice angle the whole way down, and it kind of matches up with the far end as well. So it looks very nice, and I'm not going to weld anything until I have the last patch here made, and just to make sure that all these lines are all in line. So I just want to say thank you to Joe at Joe's Rust Buckets. He gave me some advice when working on the Kia, so a link to his channel in the description below. Right, before we get too far, hit subscribe over there, give me a thumbs up. Right, come on, let's get back to it. Okay, so I said I'd make a video just before I do the last weld. So I have all the plugs, all the holes made for the plug welds. It's all cleaned up and ready to go. The back side is primered, and I have a hammer just pushed in there just to keep the seam up nice and tight just along here. So yeah, that one's done. The far one down there is ready to go, and I have my plate in the middle ready to go up. So yeah, gonna start welding now. Okay, so I have this side here now all welded in, this side here just tacked in, and there's a nice seam there between the two of them. There's no lip. So now to just get the next bit ready, so that's this piece here. So that's going to be welded in like that. So there's a nice seam, or a nice flat edge between the two of them. That's going to, like that. So there's going to be a nice seam there, nice and flat all the way across, and again the same with this side. And I have holes all here to be plug welded, and they're all nice and shiny then behind it, just so they get a good connection. So yeah, I'm delighted with that. It's come out really well, so I'm going to go back and finish welding. Okay, and that's it now, all welded up. So guys, that's now this side done. Now I'm about to move on to the other side. What do you think of the job so far? Leave a comment down below. Am I doing it the right way, or am I doing it the wrong way? What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Also, what do you think of my welding job? So, I'm not the best welder in the world, I know that, but I am welding it, and it is going in perfectly. Now, there may be a comment, why aren't you totally flattening down all the welds? I understand that, but this Jeep may still have to go in for a visual inspection, and they will want to see where it is welded. It may or may not, so I don't really know which it's going to be. So it's fairly flat, but you can still make out the outline of each of the welds, because it may still need to be a visual inspection. So that's why the welds aren't totally disappeared into the bodywork. So, what do you think of all the jobs so far? Do leave a comment down below. I love to read them. Now, let's get back onto the other side. Okay guys, so now on the other side, and looking around, yeah, it's a big hole. So you can see here, this is where the rust first came up. So just down here, like there's a drain just there. Not really sure exactly what they're for, but I think it's drain just to drain out water, moisture, I don't know. But all they do is let water back in. So you can see where the water had come up and then formed a rust hole just here, and then the rust slowly spread, and when I was poking with a screwdriver it spread a bit more. So I'm back to actually just solid stuff there now. So what I'll do is I'll probably come back to about here, cut it this side, cut it this side, take away the spot welds at the bottom. And when I was cleaning, I found another bit of a hole, so we'll come up above it, cut that out as well, make up a panel, and then we're going to weld it in. Okay, so I have the grinder set up with a 1mm cutting disc, so we're going to start cutting now, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, so I have some cuts made, and yeah, it's totally rotten. So we can maybe break that off, or maybe not. Okay, we've obviously gotten back to the good steel, so it's not going to break off. So I'm just going to, I can't get a drill in because there's just a funny angle because everything else is in the way, so I'm just going to have to cut it with the hand grinder. Just cut the spot welds and just pull this whole panel now out. Okay, I've just after freeing it over the spot weld, and I've sliced it down here. Get the light in a bit better. Okay, so I've freed it here from the spot weld. I've cut down in a straight line. We're going to just free it now. And there we go. It's fairly bad with rust. So yeah, you can see that Kia obviously don't spend too much money on their vehicles. That's why they are cheap cars. And literally all they've done is spot welded 2 raw pieces of steel together and then painted the outside, but never painted anywhere where the spot welds were. So yeah, we're going to clean up this bit better. I still have to work on this side here now and just bring it around. Okay guys, and that's it now, all cut out. So you can see the piece I had to just cut out here, and there's 2 spot welds there and there. So I'm going to clean all of this down and then put a rust inhibitor onto it. So you can also see there's a weird foam that's poured in there, and it runs the length of the arch. It's same on the other side, and it only runs up to about here. Not really sure why it's there or what it does, but I did notice that there's no rust ever in here, but there is further back. So maybe it's something to do with like stopping water getting in. Not really sure, but yeah, I'm very happy how it's currently turning out. So I'm going to make up a panel and fit it in, but first I'm going to put in some zinc primer and spray. So I sanded down all the rust, got it back to like shiny steel. Then we used a rust converter, painted it all, left it for about 3 or 4 hours, came back to it, cleaned off any of the remaining residue, and put a zinc primer then onto everything. So there's zinc primer all the way inside as much as I could get. There's zinc primer on the back of this, zinc primer down here, and just used the wire wheel again just to clean back only behind the little hole where the plug welds will be. I made up a panel. The panel is stepped the whole way around, so we're going to pull out the very top of it, then spot weld it and do the same on this side, pull it out and just make sure that the panel is nice and flush, and then seam weld it the whole way around. What do you think guys? That's it now, all welded in. And now all painted up. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since we first did the repair, and yeah, it turned out really well. We painted it all up, so it got primered and then black hammerite paint. And of course it's been driven on, so it's gone a bit dirty, but you can see that it turned out really, really well. And we look at the far side, and yeah, I know it's a bit dirty, but it did actually turn out really well. You can't tell where the patches were, and I'm really happy how it turned out. So there's one patch down there, one probably somewhere there, continuing all the way up to about here. I think there was another actually small one up there, and the same on the far side. So really happy how it turned out. So guys, thanks very much for watching. What do you think of my welding job? I'm really happy how it turned out. So I'm not the best welder in the world, I know that, but it's all welded up and it's all waterproof and it's all tight. So I'm really happy with it. There's no more rust, and yeah, like you can't distinguish where the old metal is and the new metal begins. So I'm delighted how it turned out. So if you like this video, subscribe over there, leave a comment down below, give me a thumbs up, and as always, thanks for watching. See you later.